Tonight, we investigate your money and secrets in state contracts.
What is it going to be spent on? Well, nobody knows.
And did the president-elect expose an Air Force One boondoggle?
Well, the plane is totally out of control. It's going to be over $4 billion.
We'll also key into President Obama's trip to Tampa Bay and how Tampa is playing a critical role in the war on terror. Plus, it's game night, and our Tampa Bay Bucks are back for an all-new round of political squares. This is Money, Power, and Politics.
Okay, Marissa, yeah, President Obama, who delivered his final national security speech right here in Tampa. So tonight we're going to focus on that and where we go from here.
We also have a growing revolt in the Electoral College.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of ground to cover tonight. And we're going to start with our new nightly segment inspired by the president-elect that we call the Tweet of the Day. Marissa, take it away.
Yeah, Mr. Trump tweeted today, Boeing is building a brand new 747 Air Force One for future presidents, but costs are out of control. More than $4 billion. Cancel order. The General Accounting Office estimated it will cost $3.2 billion through 2020 to build 2 new jets.
I think it's ridiculous. I think Boeing is doing a little bit of a number. We want Boeing to make a lot of money, but not that much money.
Well, Boeing responded, quote, "We look forward to working with the U.S. Air Force on subsequent phases of the program, allowing us, i.e. them, to deliver the best planes for the president at the best value for the American taxpayer." Bottom line, Trump is sending a message to the Pentagon, and he's promised certainly to rein in the costs.
Meanwhile, here in Florida, the new House Speaker wants to cut state spending and sets it up with a battle with the governor.
It surely does, yeah. Among other things, there are quite a few. Speaker Corcoran wants to cut funding for Visit Florida. That's the state's marketing arm. And we've investigated Visit Florida throughout this year because tax watchdogs say it's cutting secret deals that keep all of us in the dark.
It's Mr. 305 checking in for the remix.
We know Pitbull makes money in rap.
Self-paid, self-made, millionaire.
But we don't know how much more he made off of Florida taxpayers.
I'm gonna give you a ride, baby. Can't promise tomorrow.
Because Visit Florida, the agency that pays celebrities to plug our state, strikes deals with our money in secret.
Here's a brand new restaurant at Disney Springs.
It also paid cooking celebrity Emeril Lagasse.
This is where they showcase their signature Peking duck dish.
I'm a native Floridian, and I'm here to conquer Florida.
And racer Ricky Carmichael.
That's what's cool about Florida, man. You get so many things.
And paid a soccer club in England to work the Visit Florida logo into signs and shirts. But like the deal with Pitbull, Visit Florida will not tell us exactly how much that's costing us. It won't disclose financial details of other deals. It won't publish its own staff salaries. And yet we're paying this public-private agency 75 million state tax dollars this year. Next year, we'll pay 78 million.
Well, it's an enormous amount of money that's shrouded in secrecy and given to benefit giant corporations.
Well, the idea is to draw more tourists to feed jobs in entertainment and hospitality. Visit Florida combines contributions from the state and private industry to compete with other tourist destinations like Las Vegas.
Early on, the marketing agency was run by the state government, and it wasn't very effective.
So state leaders gave the reins to private business leaders like former Visit Florida board member Keith Overton.
We really just felt like we needed to get the expertise at the helm that we needed, and it needed to be industry-led, not government-led.
And then the state gave up its final 2 seats on the board.
There were legislators on the board, but they just took them off the board.
No one forgets the first time their parents take them to Florida.
And now the board says it cannot disclose details on a lot of its spending because of proprietary information and trade secrets.
You only set this up if you want to hide something.
And that's where government watchdogs from the Florida Consumer Action Network to Integrity Florida say we have a problem.
What is it going to be spent on? Well, nobody knows. Nobody knows.
I'm a fireball.
We have a general idea. For example, Pitbull gave Visit Florida shout-outs in some of his tweets. He tweeted a picture of the Visit Florida logo on the soccer jerseys, congratulated Florida for hitting the 105 million visitor mark, and tweeted sexy beaches, hotels only in Florida, while also repeatedly promoting Florida's competitor Las Vegas. from thank you Vegas to Viva Las Vegas to want to go to Vegas. And again, we can't see what we're paying or details of the contracts because it's confidential.
We have to adhere to and respect his wishes to not have his trade secrets disclosed to the general public.
This year, Visit Florida ended its contract with Pitbull. We still don't know how much it cost. A state audit called for more transparency of future contracts and reports to justify the deals. That sets up a fight between House Speaker Richard Corcoran, who wants to cut funding for Visit Florida, and Governor Scott, who does not.
You got to market yourself, and Visit Florida does a good job.
This, but on top of that, Governor Scott also wants to give much more money to companies that promise jobs, and Speaker Corcoran does not. So they're certainly going to clash when the session kicks off.
Yeah,
next
most
year.
definitely. Well, meanwhile, some Central Florida voters are clashing with the state right now. They claim Hillary Clinton won Florida, and they're demanding a recount. 3 voters from the Orlando area have filed a lawsuit. They claim the election results were wrong because of hackers and faulty voting machines. Like we said on the show before, we have no evidence of that. Trump beat Clinton by 112,000 votes here in Florida, and time is running out. The Electoral College votes in less than 2 weeks on December 19th.
Okay, time now for tonight. It's our game show segment, right? It's Tuesday night game show. We have former Tampa Bay Bucks Brad Culpepper and Chidi Ahanatu. They're back as our contestants. Marissa, you're going to be back on our panel of stars, lower right. And I'm heading over now to Studio B for a new round of political squares.
One of these stars is sitting in the secret square, and the contestant who picks it could win a special prize. Which star is it? John Wilson, Jen Epstein, Vanessa Rufus, Chris Cato, Russell Rhodes, Mark Wilson, Matt Towery, Marissa Lynn, or Charlie Belcher. All on the Political Squares. And here's the master of political squares, Craig Patrick.
Here we go, round 3 of Political Squares with our Glory Days Bucks, Brad Culpepper. Oh, thank you for joining us. Chidi Ahanatu, X, thank you for joining us. You evened this thing up last week. It's 1 game to 1 apiece.
Feels good.
Feels good.
No good.
No good. Well, you're tied. You've got a chance here. So, since you lost the last round, Brad, we'll let you lead off.
I'll take old Chucky Belcher in the middle.
Chucky Belcher in the middle. What do you think of that?
Chucky, huh? Is that it, Bradley? All right, I'll take it. From you, I'll take it. Old Chucky, huh?
How did we get the term lunatic fringe?
I think that was meant to describe anyone willing to date Brad Culpepper when he was in college. Don't sue me. No, all right. Lunatic fringe. You know what? Oddly enough, it dates back to Teddy Roosevelt. And it had to do with hairstyles, like a crazy hairstyle. And meant to describe the art world, but Teddy used it in politics. That's my answer.
His answer is a bit bizarre, or Chuck, your answer is a bit bizarre. Therefore, I'll agree.
You're going to agree, and with that, you get it right. All right, Chidi. Now it's your turn. Who do you like?
I don't think I've called Marissa.
You just called the secret square. There you go. All right. Here we go. Marissa, lots on the line here.
Okay, I'm going to try not to stonewall him.
You've heard the term stonewalling in politics. Stonewalling.
Of course.
Where does that come from? Stonewalling.
Well, of course I've heard of it, Craig. It comes from this. One time Gerald Ford was on the White House lawn. He walked straight into a stone wall, and afterwards he refused to answer any questions from reporters about it.
What do you think? Do you agree or disagree?
I have to disagree.
Disagree. You got that one right. She was bluffing you.
Well, Craig, you caught me bluffing again. This actually stems from Richard Nixon. He was the one that popularized it. It comes from Confederate General Stonewall Jackson, who just wouldn't budge.
And there you go. There you go. You win the Secret Square prize.
You've just won the Political Squares board game. Hours of fun for the whole family.
Nice.
There, you can play this at home.
On
right?
DVD?
Oh, there you go.
You can play with yourself.
That's right.
I love this game.
And well, we have more of that game coming up. We have some surprises lined up in the second half of Political Squares. Then we'll show you how medical marijuana could drive $1 billion gold rush here in Florida. We'll show you how the next Attorney General could cut it off as well. Well, before the break, I was tonight's Secret Square. Former Buccaneer Chidi Ahanatu won tonight's big prize. He's trying to beat former teammate Brad Culpepper. And Craig is back in Studio B to wrap up tonight's edition of Political Squares.
All right, then. Brad, who do you like?
I'll take old Johnny Wilson.
Johnny Wilson up there in the upper left. John, here we go. How many NFL players have been elected to Congress?
Elected to Congress. So happens I know the answer to that. 2.
To JC, I'll disagree. There's got to be more than 2.
Got to be more than 2. Well, the answer is 4. There were 4. Kemp, Largent, Schuler, Runyon.
Craig, you missed one. Laverne Dilwig played for the Packers.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
How about that? All right, Chidi. Who do you like?
I think I'll keep working up, and I'll go to Russell.
Who said in politics, absurdity is not a handicap?
The voters of 2016. Actually, I believe that was Napoleon.
I have to disagree because it has to be Donald Trump.
Has to be Donald Trump. Well, no, that one was Napoleon. Napoleon said that. Uh-oh, circle gets the square right there. Brad, you got a shot to take this thing out.
I do.
Who do you like?
I will take Chris.
You're going to take Chris here for the win.
All right.
Chris, this one's on you.
No, it's on Brad. Don't pin this on me.
So in politics, in government, we hear the term slush fund a lot. Using a slush fund. Where does that come from, Chris?
Well, everyone knows that that's from the days of Navy ships. Back in the day, the cooks on the ship would boil the meat, and then they would have the leftover meat, the junk, the drippings, and the juice, and they would keep that and save it. And once they got off the ship on land, they would sell that, the drippings and the delicious meat junk, and make a little extra money, and they called it a slush fund.
That cannot be correct, so I would disagree.
Disagree, and you were just as wrong as you can be. That one goes to Chidi. X gets the square. That is, in fact, how we got the term slush fund.
Well, now you know.
All right, Chidi. Chidi, who do you like?
I have to go with Matt.
True or false? Mitch McConnell served in 2016 as the president of the U.S. Senate.
False.
I have to agree.
You're going to agree, and you get that one right. McConnell was the majority leader, but the Vice President of the United States, Joe Biden, serves as the President of the Senate. You get that one right. Brad.
I will go with Mark.
You're going to go with Mark Wilson. Mark, here we go.
All right, how about some good presidential trivia?
Who was the last president to have facial hair?
Grover Cleveland.
Well, Cleveland was before Teddy Roosevelt.
Yes.
I believe. So I would disagree.
You're going to disagree? Yeah, you got that one right. It was actually William Howard Taft.
I'm a big Taft fan, I knew that.
Come on, enough with the Taft jokes. Can we just move it along?
Oh, my turn?
Your turn.
I have to go with Vanessa.
All right, Vanessa, here we go.
It's about time. Let's do this.
Why did Hillary Clinton say she was attracted to Bill Clinton when they first met?
Isn't it obvious? His clever saxophone skills?
I have to disagree.
Disagree.
I don't remember the story, but I think I'm disagreeing.
Oh, you nailed it. That's it. Absolutely got that one right. It wasn't the saxophone skills. She said she was attracted by the fact that he was not afraid of her. Was not afraid of her.
I think I know who's next.
Let's go, Jen. Let's bring it home.
All right, Jen, this one's for the win.
All right, I'm ready.
Who was the NFL's first president?
Well, I mean, I'm super smart, so I know this one, of course. It's Jim Thorpe.
I believe it was Pete Rozelle, but I know that it wasn't Jim Thorpe, so I will disagree.
Going to disagree. And, my friend, you got it wrong. It was Jim Thorpe.
Oh, sorry.
He was made the league's first president in 1920. X's outnumber O's. You win this one. And he's 2-1, Brad. What do you think?
It's awful.
Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you again next week. All right, there we go. Check out our YouTube channel for our other game show segments, parodies, and serious investigations of money and politics. Search for Craig Patrick's Money, Power, and Politics. There you go. Click subscribe at the top of the page. Now, in state news, the marijuana industry is preparing for a gold rush in Florida after voters passed Amendment 2.
Yeah, Florida approved medical marijuana, and industry analysts say that could drive $1 billion in marijuana sales over the next 3 years. The analysts also project Florida will be the nation's second largest market for marijuana behind California.
But we still don't know if the next U.S. Attorney General will enforce the federal prohibitions against marijuana. Keep in mind here, nominee Jeff Sessions has opposed marijuana use for any reason whatsoever. President Obama's administration has just looked the other way as states have gone in this direction.
Yeah, the president is focused on the war on terror today in Tampa. And coming up, we'll take a closer look at his record, the strategy, and the role of Tampa's MacDill Air Force Base and U.S. Central Command after the break.
Well, Marissa, President Obama came to Tampa specifically to MacDill and U.S. Central Command, which is planning the war on terror, to make the case that what he has done and is doing is working and is paying off, and that he has delivered upon his promises.
Yeah, that's exactly what he did. When he came into office, they started out with 180,000 troops overseas. That number has dwindled down quite a bit. We're down to 15,000 troops overseas today.
And specifically in Iraq and Afghanistan, he said that's what he was elected to do. Of course, his critics say that he withdrew from Iraq too quickly. And with this, you have the Shia-led persecution that paved the way for ISIS to sweep in quite unexpectedly in 2014. And of course, we have a critical battle playing out as we speak in Iraq that may ultimately determine the president's legacy as it relates to the war on terror.
Yeah, we're talking about the Battle of Mosul. This is what he's solely focused on at this point. Obviously, we have that Syrian conflict as well, but he's steered clear from that for the most part to focus on this battle in Mosul.
And then you have President-elect Trump, who may shift gears once again and ramp up the war on terror in both nations. That remains to be seen where we'll go from here. But we still have a lot of ground to go in our show. Marissa, what do you have coming up?
Yeah, we'll explain the revolt in the Electoral College, why it's growing, what it means, and what to expect after the break. So Vice President Joe Biden is not ruling out that he won't run
Not
for
just
president.
that. He's saying a little more than that. He's giving some signals that he may run, right? I mean, what's he up to here, Marissa? You call it.
I don't know. He would be the oldest, if he were to win in 2020, he would be the oldest elected president of the United States.
He would be. At the very least, I think that he may be thinking of his son's passing and his legacy and the fact that he may regret not running, particularly given the outcome this year.
Yeah.
But he also may have figured out what it takes to draw headlines and draw news all across the country. So, okay, I'm going to jump into this as well.
Yeah.
And speaking of news across the country, we've got some interesting news in Texas.
Yeah, there's an electoral voter there who says he is not going to vote for Trump. A Republican who says he's not going to vote for Trump.
And with this, let's add this to the list. You now have 8 Democratic electors who say they're not going to vote for Hillary Clinton, even though they were pledged to do it. They become, quote unquote, faithless electors. So 8 Democrats, 1 Republican. You need to flip 37 Republicans the other way to actually take the election away from Donald Trump in the Electoral College. It does not look as if that will happen. By the way, this is not the first time we've had, quote, faithless electors. What we've had historically about 150 over the years. None of them, not total, but over the years, most in the 1800s have not affected the results of an election. We certainly do not expect it to happen this time, but it certainly adds some intrigue, and we could see some more defections as well. Folks, that's our show. We'll see you tomorrow night.